Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast. Presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Josh from MitsuTimes. Today, my guest is Aaron Anderson. He is the creator, the star of CSMtv. How you doing today, Aaron?
Oh, I can't complain, man. Doing pretty good.
Heck yeah! This is obviously a first for the podcast, and this is something that is just you don't see a whole lot of DSM, CSM, Galant VR4 type content on YouTube. So I'm so glad that we get to do this for the people out there who haven't seen your channel yet or are looking for a new creator to follow. This is going to be a perfect episode for that.
Oh, for sure. Like that's actually one of the reasons why I started the channel, because you don't see a whole lot of Mitsubishi or zero CSM cult stuff. So
and anything that I see related on any of the other channels, for instance, like that legit street cars, he got that all carbon Eclipse, or I think it was a Talon rather. And I was like, this guy probably doesn't know anything about these cars, but this is some of the only content you're going to find, so I'll watch it.
Right, yeah, for sure. Same here. I watched those episodes as well. And not terrible, but Kelly's not a full Mitsu guy.
Exactly. And what's different about your channel, Aaron, is he's just doing kind of like stock rebuilds. He's not going out there and racing it and breaking it and showing you this is how you do this. This is just like he just does. I'm not picking on him. Obviously, I love his channel, but it's just one of those things where it's like, this is what we did, and moving on. Right.
Yeah. And that's one thing. Like I never considered myself like a what's the words I'm thinking of like one of those YouTubers that shows you how to do everything step by step, because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing half the time, so it's like hard for me to show like, hey, this is what you need to do and you do it this way, because most of the time half the stuff I'm doing I've never done before.
You're figuring
so it's
it out
like
too,
yeah, exactly, and just kind of want to bring everybody along for the journey. But type deal.
It's nice because it's like, even in the winter season when you're, obviously doing the rebuilds and stuff, even though you're not doing it step by step, you're still running into the same problems that I would run into. But you're also showing like, hey, there's probably a lot of ways to do this, but this is what I did.
Right, yeah. That's what I want to show and get across, is like you can build these cars several different ways, and I think that comes from a cult community, kind of, I feel like, because there's been a lot of, as uncommon as they are, anytime someone does, like, say, an all-wheel drive swap, no one does it the same way.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody would post an all-wheel drive swap and how they did it, and it's different every time, which, I mean, there's not a whole lot of cars out there, but still, I don't know. It's kind of crazy to see.
Yeah. You do see a lot on the comments and, the CSM Facebook groups like, it probably works for you, but this is how I did it.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's not like there's that's one of the things I like about the CSM stuff. There's not like a set path to like go on, and I think that's why I actually really like those cars, is it's like it's such an open thing of like you can actually go in and do different things that not everybody has done before.
Yep.
Which with the DSM stuff, it's pretty. I mean, you could copy somebody's build pretty easily, and you can't really do that with CS. I mean, I guess you can, but
not to the same extent.
There's a lot of different. Yeah, think a lot of different parts, a lot of custom stuff.
I think if you were looking at like a build tree of how to run 10s in an Evo, it would be pretty narrow. But if you were looking at a build tree of how to run 10s in a CSM, it would probably be huge.
Right, yeah. Especially with different combinations that people are running, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, stuff like that.
It would be, over twice the size of a Evo build tree.
Right, yeah. I think I agree with that.
So, Aaron, let's talk about how, when, and why CSMtv got started.
All right, That's going to be a long one. I've been thinking about it a little bit.
I'm buckled in.
And right. So I guess we have to start really. I guess when I was in high school, and this is before I was even into cars. Like I've always kind of liked cars, but not to the extent where I was at back then. Back in high school, it was all about skateboarding for me. So like that's all I did after school, on the weekends. Like me and my buddies just go out, skateboard all day,
Heck
whatever, hit the streets. And I wasn't the best. I'd probably say I was probably the worst in our group, but still had fun doing it.
Yep.
And then at some point, I don't remember exactly when, I think my dad got a camera from some sort of work thing, like a video camera, and like I started messing with it, and then it kind of just sort of became mine because nobody else was using it, and that turned into me filming my buddy's skateboard. And back then, in like early 2000s, late 90s, in most of the skate videos, even before Jackass, we were watching like CKY. If anybody's seen those videos, basically before Jackass. So we'd film a little bit of skateboarding, and then we do some skits and stuff like that, and do a bunch of dumb stuff that teenagers do. It's like I think that's where it all pretty much started for me. It's weird. I would film all this stuff, but then had no way to edit anything. Like I didn't have a good computer, and then you need a capture card that was like super expensive. And back in high school, I don't have any money back then.
Right.
So it's like to try to build anything and try to start editing anything, it was out of reach at that point. But senior year in high school, I did take they started like this weird vocational school where you could take some classes, like they weren't traditional. Like I think I took English and math over at the vocational school, and it wasn't a classroom. It was basically a free-for-all of like, you need to complete these sort of assignments and kind of do them your own way.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of cool thing, and they had video cameras and computers that you could edit on, and I ended up doing a bunch of videos for all my credits. And that kind of started from there. So, yeah, that's where it started. And I know around, I think, like, after my little DV camera, it finally went out and broke or something. Didn't get another camera till, like, 2010 or 12. There's another, like, a higher-end DV camera. And started filming, like, I think that was around the same time I was all-wheel drive swapping my car, which took way too long. So, like, I couldn't film my own car, so I was filming all my buddies' cars and, like, some of the shows we would go to. So I edited a couple of videos, kind of like, say, like 1320, because they're, like, a 1320 style video, except for there wasn't really any racing. We were going to, like, car shows. And it was just like event coverage type deal, and kind of showing the road trip part of it.
Oh, nice.
And I think I actually took them off my YouTube channel. I didn't take them off. I used Vimeo for some reason, because like that was like YouTube wasn't huge what it is now.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, Vimeo's got better quality, and YouTube's more of like, back then it was like weird videos, and there wasn't really car videos on there.
Yeah.
I don't remember too much, but I put them on there. I think they're still up. So I made a few of those, like other people's cars and whatnot, and I didn't know exactly how to film stuff besides like event coverage, and it wasn't me talking to the camera at all, because I actually never really wanted to do that. I'd rather be behind the camera rather than in front of it. So I did that. Ended up selling the camera at some point, so there's a few gaps. I think I ended up getting a GoPro, or no, actually like 2015. I have a video up from the shootout, and I think it's all cell phone video from like some of my friends. So like I kind of threw together a video there, and then by 2019 I got like a GoPro and threw together a couple videos of just in car, and then once again it's not me talking at all. Like I think I put some text in front of each pass, and I kind of edited it a little bit.
Okay.
So not the greatest videos, but didn't really go anywhere with that. But I wasn't really ever big into YouTube either, so I didn't really have a good idea of how like people were filming car videos. Like I watched a little bit, like all the Mitsu guys I always watched, like Turbo Tom and Joe Bucci, Joe Wrenches, and Jeffro Mobile. I always watch their videos, and those were a little like on the tech side of things, which I wasn't really comfortable with doing, so I never really thought about like showing build stuff. I was just showing racing and events type deal, but like finally started watching other bigger YouTubers in like 2020 when there wasn't really much to do. And kind of got inspired from there to actually make my own channel. I was like, oh, you can kind of do a vlog style, which I never really clicked, I guess, before that. And I was like, man, I think I could do that. Watching some of these other, not to the scale of what they're doing, I was like, oh, that's how you can show it, and I think I can do it that way. So that's kind of how that came about. And I mean, there's so many things that came together, honestly. And then at that point, there was me putting the Motec in the car, and I was like, you know what? There's nobody showing Motec stuff or big wiring videos, which apparently just watching some of the YouTubers or listening to like podcasts with them, like nobody shows wiring videos. They're like, nobody wants to watch them. Nobody wants to do them, so like nobody shows that stuff. And I'm like, that's what I do for a living, is actually wiring. So wow. I can show that and be pretty confident in it. And I feel like, at least for me, that's something I would want to see. Like when I was building the harness for the car, like no one was showing like a motorsports style, I guess, wiring harness, which is long and boring and hard to follow, but that's one thing I wanted to show. And then between that and Matt Wheatley's car, I'm like, and he's building a cool Colt. I got my buddy that's I share the storage unit with here, and he's building a front wheel drive Colt as well. I'm like, man, all three of these cars are going to be like really cool builds, and like somebody needs to capture this, and it's going to have to be me. Yeah. So like another part of that, like why it kind of started and why it started when it did.
It wouldn't be as fun just to see them come together.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of hard with my car because I've had it so long and it's like already together.
Yeah, you'd already done so much.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back, I'm like, man, I should have started a long time ago. But you know, that's what everybody seems to say when they start doing videos. It seems like. But yeah, that's kind of how and why it started, I guess.
I would have definitely thought you were doing the vlog style, or at least, you know, behind the or in front of the camera, because you just seem so comfortable, like talking to people.
Man, I am comfortable with talking to people at like the racetrack. If I'm not at the racetrack, like no shot.
If it's not about cars.
Yeah, it's terrible. If it's not about cars, then like, nah, I'm not comfortable, especially in front of the camera. Like, I don't know how bad it is. I haven't watched any of my old videos when I first started. I think it's been like 2.5 years. So I think they're okay. I'm definitely getting better, and I still am pretty uncomfortable doing it at the racetrack. Mm-hmm. That's probably the worst, and I don't know. It's kind of rough. I don't like holding the camera in front of me and talking at it when I'm at the track when there's more people around. I don't know. It seems weird to me, but
Well, I mean,
slowly trying to get there.
I think people don't realize how hard it is to race an event and capture content. So the fact that you're able to do both and do them well, I mean, it's really amazing to see how your like style of videos works so well with the type of events that our cars fit into.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. It is definitely it's a pain. And luckily, my car's pretty sorted, so it's like we don't have to like sit there and have to like try to work on the car between rounds. So
Right.
It does make it a little easier. And then, I mean, really, a lot of that stuff, like all the out of car starting line footage, like mostly that's actually coming from Matt. Since we're at the track all the time,
Right.
He's usually capturing most of the things and usually saves my ass when I get home and I'm like, wow, I only have in-car footage, and I talked to the camera about 3 times. I'm like, this is going to be a 5-minute video until like Matt comes through with what he got.
Sends you a whole thing.
Yeah, gets me a whole bunch of videos. Like, especially with like actually when we just went to Streetcar Takeover, I guess it would have been last week. It was so hot, and I just didn't even want to do anything.
Yeah.
Besides like hide from the sun.
Yeah.
Like luckily he got a bunch of footage for me from the starting line. And I mean, most of the time I was sitting in the lanes waiting for the call. So it's like so hard to judge that because I don't want to hold up the lanes trying to be at the starting line filming, my other friends racing while
Right.
I got to run to the car and try to throw everything on and get suited up and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a challenge. I can't do it alone. So having other people grab the camera definitely helps a lot.
I learned from you that if you're gonna put your GoPro on people's cars, you need to have more than one battery and more than one GoPro.
Oh yeah, I only have one GoPro. I need more for sure. But yeah, the battery thing is the number one concern because those things go quick.
Yeah.
For sure.
I know I'm kind of dragging you around all over the place, but I wanted to point out that, if it wasn't for your YouTube channel, I wouldn't say that people wouldn't know about Matt's build, but maybe not as many people would know how nice Matt's build is unless they came to the shootout. Because Matt just doesn't post about his car as much.
Right, yeah. He definitely doesn't do like social media as much. That's for sure. As much as I know he used to back when. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows. He had an Evo way back in the day.
Yeah.
And I mean, it went 980s way back in 2012, 13, something like that. 13-ish. I can't remember. I'm old and forget things. But yeah, he had a quick Evo back in the day and been building the Colt since, for a few years. I don't know if I want to take any credit for how much it's been shown, but I mean his car definitely produces a lot of views on my channel. I should say our channel. I never meant it to be like just my channel per se, but
right.
Like try to show at least all my friends and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome if I'm helping with that. Hopefully, and that's kind of what I want to show.
I definitely think so.
Yeah, I mean that car is such a crazy build, and I love it. Like he's always. I mean, he's been there since day one, since I had the Colt, and I know at one point he was like pushing me pretty hard to like, keep stepping up the game with mine, and I'm like, man, I'm at a point where it's like I don't want to take this car any further. Yeah. Like my wallet can't take it. I was like, I don't think I want to deal with like the maintenance.
Won't be as fun.
High horsepower car, and then like, yeah. So I know he was ready to kind of build his own thing at that point, which is awesome.
Yeah, and like I was saying in the beginning, not only do you get to see these cool builds, but you also get to see them in action. I mean, not just Matt's, not just yours, but we also seen Sean's in action on this last video. And, I love Sean, and we get to see pictures of his cars, and maybe, we'll probably get to see it at the shootout, but we got to see probably the first ever time he was out testing with the new setup on your channel.
Right, yeah, exactly. I think he attempted to go the night before at Streetcar Takeover, but had, I don't remember if he made a pass, but yeah, that was pretty much his first pass was at Streetcar Takeover. So that was definitely pretty awesome. And then I know we get in the weeds a little bit, because I know we got a pretty decent group here in Indy, at least it shows up for, we can always make it together at Streetcar Takeover.
Yeah.
And then, we got Jeremy with his LS Swap 240, and Nicole with her, Blake with the Hellcat, and that's actually the guy that runs a lot of the races here locally at Muncie Dragway. So that was cool to see him actually out racing. And we were in the same class together too, which I don't know if I really got that in the video
Both
too well.
Dodges.
Yeah, right. And both completely different, and then both, like, it was actually kind of funny when one of the rounds we were drawing chips, and it was like me and him, and then just a bunch of bracket cars that were left, seems like. So that was pretty funny. We're like, wow, we're the two, like, non-bracket guys that are left. We're like, awesome. See how this goes. But yeah, a bunch of different cars, and I know it's basically Mitsubishi because that's what I'm really just into, but I like more cars than that, and got friends with different cars too, so I like to show them as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something for everyone.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
And Aaron, it's so easy to think about a racing event. For some people, you go there, you race, you leave, but you get to see in your channel the behind the scenes. Go there, getting everything set up, getting everything ready, cooking for the crew, doing all this. That's stuff that you could watch the Cletus McFarlane YouTube channel. You get to go see them, load up in the trailer, go race, come home. That's pretty much it.
Right, and that's what I like to big secret here, but that's the fun part of racing.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly. It's like the racing is just like a bonus, like hanging out in the pits with everybody and bullshitting and, cooking food and hanging out. All that stuff is like, that's the best part. And that's one big thing about the shootout too. Being that, like, the multiple day event just gives you so much time to just mess around and hang out and do that sort of thing. So, like, to make it fun, like, I want to show those kind of things of, like, it's not just about racing, it's about hanging out with good people and meeting new people at the track, and what kind of shenanigans we can get into, stuff like that.
I mean, even kind of the car trips there and the car trips back, you kind of see, like, what goes into a race weekend, not just showing up to the track.
Right, yeah. It's, man, because if you've never done it yourself, it's a lot of work just even get to those race events. I mean, everybody, can be a struggle sometimes, and just getting everything loaded up and making sure you have everything you need to be there for the weekend.
Yeah.
Definitely like to try to show as much as I can, at least. And
we could watch another YouTube channel who could do similar things, but then, I think about some of the videos I've seen where they go race and then they stay in their nice camper, and I love to see you guys, like, sleeping on the floor in match trailer, like cots and stuff set up. I mean, because that's grassroots racing.
Right. Well, and even with Matt's trailer, we're still lucky because he's got a super nice trailer with a bathroom and whatnot. And there's people, camping out in tents and whatnot. Not something I want to do. And we have AC, so that AC and heat. So it's like that. We're definitely not slumming it, but yeah, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
And
you're not just seeing a YouTuber go back to the hotel or something.
Yeah. Or stay in a comfortable toter. Still got to sleep on an air mattress, which I completely hate, but better than sleeping on the floor or in a tent. But yeah, definitely on the grassroots side of things for sure.
And I think that's, all those things together is really what I love the most is, not only are you into the same cars as me, but I can't afford a gigantic ass RV, so I'm going to go to the same kind of events you are. I'm going to stay in the same sort of thing, so I can relate to every step of your process. And I think that's what makes the videos so appealing to everyone.
Right, and that's what I hope. I know I hear this a lot. I think it's really from the bigger YouTubers, because I mean they're doing it a little different, because it's like, I mean, that's what they rely on to get paid with. But like, you know, I hear nobody wants to see people bracket racing, or which index racing, kind of the same thing. And you know, that's what it shows. They show people just, you know, the faster cars, none of that stuff. But I want to show, like, hey, you don't need a fast car to go have fun.
Right,
like,
yeah.
I actually really like index racing. Like, I feel like I'm outgunned most of the time. Like, at some of the events I go to, because a lot of the domestic guys are really tough. But I mean, even last weekend, I mean, me and Blake were running. Both felt like we were the underdogs, because like we saw multiple 10-0 something, you know, ran all weekend. And you know, I not sure how consistent Blake was, but I mean, I was okay. It was ranged from I went from like a 1030 to a 995, so I wasn't spot on, but even that, you know, showing that you can do it with Blake pulling out the win on his car.
Yeah.
You can still beat those guys. So like that actually kind of inspired me a little bit even.
And you know, there's numerous people out there that I'm picturing in my head that, you know, have whatever type of car. It doesn't have to be Mitsubishi related, but they want to get into index racing because, you know, let's be honest, the you know, heads up racing is getting so expensive to be competitive. So you want to get into index racing, they could watch your videos to see, you know, not only how it's done, but how it's done well. I mean, you've won the shootout 10-0 class or 10-5 class, I believe it is, multiple times.
Yeah. No. I only won one.
Oh, okay. Only once, but still the reigning champion.
Yeah, I've won an 1150 index at IFO, and then one race at Marion County, like the shootout makeup race. So I guess maybe you could count that as a shootout.
That's what I was thinking of, I think.
Not really, but I think there's only 3 cars in the field too. So
okay.
I don't really put a lot of weight to that one, I guess, compared to the others, since there's actually, you know, more than 3 cars.
But still, if you were looking to get into index classes or index class racing, I feel like your content would be the perfect kind of intro to, hey, I'm going to go there and not look stupid if I watch this first.
Right. And that's a perfect way to get into racing. I feel like is start out with index, because it's still like heads up. It's not. I'm not a big bracket fan. I don't like sitting there waiting on somebody to go. So like index, you're both leaving at the same time, and you got to nail the tree. That is the biggest thing. And I don't know, like you said, the barrier to entry to heads up at this point is like, it's wild. Like that's why I'm still racing index right now, because you go from like a 10-0 or 1050 class, and then the next step, a lot of what I'm seeing is I need to put some sort of DOT on the car, and then to be competitive, it's like got to be a bottom 9.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom 9, mid 8, and then you can be competitive. And that's, I mean, going from a 10 to a full second faster can get expensive.
Oh yeah, get expensive quick.
And especially in these cars, that's like, I'm in a good spot where I don't really break anything. If I push it to a 9.0 on a DOT, I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I think I'm going to end up trying it eventually. I just gotta get there. I still need cage work and tires, but yeah, it's kind of rough. But index, the way to go, and most tracks seem to do that now at this point. They see that, you know, anybody can compete, and usually those are some of the biggest classes.
Right.
But
and plus, it's nice to see, you know, a brand new 5.0 Mustang versus, you know, a late 80s Probe. You know, anything that you could want to see, you'll see in index racing.
Yeah, you can get a big mix of cars in there, which is definitely cool to see.
Yeah. So, Aaron, I want to talk about how YouTube has changed how you build your cars, because you said that your style of vlogging has evolved so much over the years. Has your perspective of working on cars and how you build your cars evolved with it?
Definitely. It hasn't changed like what I would do to the cars. Like I haven't it hasn't really changed like how I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Like what I would do to the cars. Like I'm not going to do something that would try to get clicks or something like that. Like
Right.
I'm still going to do the exact same thing. I'm not going to change the way I approach it or do it. The only thing that's changed is my process, I guess you could say, because before I'd say I was pretty disorganized on how I would go about fixing things or modding things, or like going into a winter build. I could just like come in after work and tinker on it for an hour or so, and then just be like, oh, okay, well, get frustrated and leave, or like I'm like, that's good enough for today, and leave. But like if I want to videotape something and actually make a video, I got to kind of plan it out. I'm like, okay, well, I want to do this step and then this step, and then I got to show it, and then where to put the camera and how to film it. So it does change a bit, and sometimes it gets pushed off to the weekend where I have time, because I hate starting something and then stopping right in the middle of it where you could do that without filming and then come back a couple days later and do it. So it's like I almost try to finish things, or like if I get a new part for the car, like a steering wheel or something, I'm not just going to go throw it on real quick. Be like, oh, I got this. I can put this on in, a half hour. That's cool. But like, you can't just show just that in the video. I feel like I want to show a little bit more. Like, so I'll wait for maybe more interior to come in that I'm changing, like for the Galant, I guess, for that example, and try to show a bit more than just putting the steering wheel on.
Right.
Something like that. So sometimes parts get piled up as I'm waiting to like show it as like throw it in one video.
Like you cut to the next video and all of a sudden there's a bunch of new parts that you didn't explain at all.
Yeah, exactly. Or like it just doesn't make sense where it's like, oh, throw the steering wheel on and now we're gonna fix an axle or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like try to at least make it make sense.
Yeah.
With how I do things, and sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it does. So,
but
it just depends.
Speaking of that, Aaron, I like how you show your mistakes. I mean, you don't know what happens behind the scenes at some of the creators. Maybe they break something, they don't even tell you about it, replace the whole engine, and you're none the wiser. But you don't do that.
Yeah, I try to show everything as best as I can. I feel like actually just on the most recent where I locked up the engine on the first startup, I didn't do a good job of showing like all the aftermath and the constant just constant work we had to do to try to get it ready for the dyno, because that happened I think like a week before I was going on vacation, and so we were limited on that, and then I was gone for a week. When I came back, I only had a few days before we'd go to the dyno, so it was a scramble to actually get everything together, and I'm like, I can't film stuff, it's going to slow us down too much. Like I didn't do it to avoid that, I did it so I could get my car to the dyno. So I still showed a little bit. I feel like I just kind of breezed over it just slightly, but it's sometimes when you're in a time crunch, you just can't, I don't know.
Especially when you're frustrated on top of a time crunch.
I was going to say that was more of like, I was mad at myself for pretty bad for trashing basically a brand new head that has been sitting for a couple of years waiting on money and time for a bottom end.
Yeah.
So a little bit frustrated. I still wanted to show at least what I did, somewhat. But then, like I said, that time crunch was killer. We had to pull everything apart, pull a head off my spare engine, put the head back on, time everything, throw it back in the car. And at the same time, since we decided it was a good idea to take 2 cars to the dyno, Matt was also almost in the same boat. He didn't hurt anything, but he was definitely finishing up some things like right before we went to the dyno. So it was pretty rough.
Yeah, and he didn't have the smoothest dyno experience, so
Yeah, exactly. So it's Sometimes it'd be like that.
Unfortunately, yes. I think Donut Media has it the best, where they say cars are pain.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So,
couldn't say it better.
Aaron, I know we talked about it a little bit, but I want to talk about what YouTubers and creators inspire you to make your content.
I'd say once again, all the DSM guys, I would say the ones I first started watching, because like I've never been a big YouTube watcher until, like I said, about 2020. But I wouldn't miss a Jeffro video, a Turbo Tom, or a Joe Wrench's video. I would watch those all the time. So those guys pretty much inspired me. And I remember talking to Turbo Tom one year at Shootout. He's like, man, I would just love to see just everybody's builds, like, on video. And that kind of stuck with me a little bit. I think Joe and Jeffro have kind of said the same thing. It's like, man, I'd love to see everybody make a video of their car, like, just to see the process. And that
Right.
kind of stuck with me. And that was early. That was like 2015-ish. I remember when Tom was at the Shootout one year. So kind of with them. And then funny enough, like, I used to watch 1320 videos and some of the other bigger ones like Mighty Car Mods, which I really love their videos. Those guys do a killer job. And then, 2020 came around, and we all know what happened then. But, I was still working, like, every day, like, nothing changed for me. But just couldn't really go out and do anything. So I started watching, like, YouTube stuff, because all my buddies kind of watched it. Like, hey, do you watch this? You watch this video? I'm like, I don't really watch YouTube that a whole lot. Like, I watch some stuff. And then I actually started watching Cletus's channel when he got the Freedom Factory. Like, I never really watched it before that. As soon as he got the Freedom Factory, I'm like, okay, that's really cool that he bought a racetrack. And I watched that and then started watching the races and watching some of the other content creators that he put on during the Crown Vic races.
Yeah.
And actually a lot of the drift guys do a really good job vlogging. Like, I watch a lot of Taylor Ray videos, which really dig his videos and how he, like, builds cars. Like, I'm not really into drifting at all, but I'll watch all his stuff and really kind of like how he does things as well. So yeah, like, all those DSM guys, love watching their stuff. Some of them are a little more focused on, like, tech stuff, which, like I said, it's not a strong suit of mine to do that stuff, but or like the vlogging stuff, like I kind of dig doing that. So like any of those guys,
it's the small things that I wish, like you're just talking about. I wish somebody would take some of the old forum things and turn them into YouTube videos, like identifying every plug in a 2G engine bay, because half of them look exactly the same.
Oh Jesus, that'd be a fun one.
Just stuff like that, to where I could be like, all right, I'm going to watch this video and figure out why I keep plugging my AC into my ignition coil.
Yeah, exactly. Like, some of that stuff, man, I don't know if I could do how-to videos. That's just not the way I can do it. Unless I'm, like, super confident. I feel like I still, like, find myself kind of dipping into how-to stuff, but like, I got to be pretty confident and had done it before, at least.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. One thing I did want to ask Aaron is, how do you keep from getting burnt out?
Well, I mean, I know we said earlier, weekly videos. It's usually, I think it's closer to monthly videos.
Is it? It feels like weekly. I don't know.
I think it has, like I think this last month, I got a weekly video out somehow. So it's just kind of, I'm not consistent, which I know a lot of people say if you want to do YouTube, you got to do that. But like, I'm not trying to become a big YouTuber. I just want to show cool stuff because no one else is going to show what you're doing besides yourself.
Right.
Which one thing I've learned, people will, photographers, like when you go to the track, and maybe some videographers, but they're not going to show like the whole story. And with the forums being gone, like you kind of don't have a platform, I guess, really to show off your car build anymore. Like since nobody, I know there's probably some people on tuners still doing stuff, but at this point, I don't know. I'd rather make videos than anything else. And
right.
Man, I really went in the weeds on that one. But to keep from being burnt out, usually I take a break between some of the stuff, and it helps that like if there's nothing else going on to videotape, like I'm just kind of not doing it. I mean, it does. The only thing I really get burnt out on is I want to say editing videos, but like I just like to apparently just procrastinate. So I'll procrastinate like, oh man, I got to go through this footage. I'm gonna have to watch everything, and I have like an hour of stuff I want to look through and make sure there's nothing funny I can pull out of it. But then once I get into it, I finally just convince myself to do it. I actually really enjoy it, but.
Because I think people don't realize how long stuff like that takes. An hour video to make probably takes 4 hours of editing.
Oh, freaking! I'm pretty sure I spent a good 4 hours on a 15-minute video. Like it's
ridiculous.
Probably 4 to 6. Yeah, it's a lot of time to edit, and then even when you're working on the car, expect like. If you're doing something like, say, anything you're doing, if it's going to take an hour, if you want to videotape it, it's going to take 2 hours plus. So it's going to take more time, like 100%, especially if you're trying to explain things or like get different camera angles or, try to actually do like a pretty good job. It's going to take double the time or more.
You ever do like a partial of a video on your GoPro and then realize you forgot to turn it on, so you got to go back and redo it?
Oh yeah. Not so much in the shop. I can catch it a lot easier of like
if the red light's flashing.
Yeah, the red light or it beeps at me. So usually I catch it because sometimes I don't know what's up with it. Like it's just probably GoPro things. Sometimes it'll just shut off in the middle of doing stuff, which is always a good time. There's only been I feel like a couple times in the shop where I haven't caught it. And it kind of, dude, that bums me out more than anything. Like I'm not gonna go back and redo it though. Like I try to keep it pretty authentic, I guess. So then I'll just show it and tell the people that the GoPro shut off or the battery died or whatever. More or less, it happens at the track. Like, because I'm worried about the car rather than trying to get a video. Most of the time. So like. I know I showed a couple clips of me grabbing the camera and looking at it and going, "Oh, thank God it was on." Because like I get done with passing, I'm like, "Wait a second, did I turn the camera on?" Like I got everything else right with the car, but hopefully I captured it. Yes, and that's like I want multiple cameras, but I don't know how. It's like usually I end up turning them on pretty early, so I have like 5 to 10 minutes of just me making a 20-second pass, which usually with the way I started editing them works out, but you still got to go through all that and upload all of that, which takes up a ton of space. So It's fun.
Like,
It's fun.
I watch those Boosted Boys, and they'll turn the GoPro on, get the draggy set, all this stuff. I'm thinking, man, it's too much to do while I'm racing. I don't know how they do that.
Right? Yeah. It's definitely a balancing act. Definitely. Like it, especially I could see that in a new car where you don't know. I mean, not even a new car because they got. I mean, some of those bigger, like the Boosted Boys, they have so many cars. Like just to hop in another car and try to remember, okay, what do I need to do to get this thing ready to get up to the line? And then, oh, hang on, I got to turn on cameras and all this other stuff. Like,
okay, unlock my phone so I can start this draggy, dude.
Yeah, exactly, and try to coordinate all that. I mean, oof.
Yeah. Tell us how we can go and find your channel.
It is under, if you go to youtube.com/CSMtv1320, that is the easiest way to find it. And make sure you'll see the cult, you'll see all that stuff. Don't go to I know there's some weird news channel or something that's under CSMtv. That's why I had to have the numbers added. But, yep, that's mainly it.
Go like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell because, like Aaron said, sometimes you post a video every week. Sometimes it's once a month and you don't want to miss one.
Right, and the algorithm hates you if you don't do like a weekly video. So sometimes they don't throw them up when they actually show up in your recommended or even in your timeline. So
yeah, I have the notifications on, and sometimes I don't even see the video until you post something.
Right? Yeah. Those algorithms are rough.
Besides liking and subscribing, you can also comment on the videos because I believe that helps the algorithm as well.
Yeah, all the comments and sharing videos and doing all that stuff. That all stuff helps for sure. Yes, indeed. Do all the things, which I never asked people to do, but whatever.
Well, if you want to keep CSM TV alive, we gotta get the likes and the subscribes.
I know. I need to actually probably asking people to do that and reminding them.
And definitely hit Aaron up for some sweet CSM TV swag.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there will be a new T-shirt for a shootout this year.
Oh.
Yeah. Working on it currently, trying to figure it out. But
heck yeah.
I got a good guy doing my T-shirts, and I got a couple ideas. So.
Do we need to pre-order, or do we need to bring cash to shootout?
I think I probably do a pre-order and can buy. I'll have extras at shootout too, I think.
Okay. Heck yeah.
So, I'll be making a post sometime once we get it all ironed out.
Okay. Well, finally, Aaron, is there anybody that you want to give thanks or a shout out for getting your YouTube channel where it is?
Yeah, my buddy Matt Wheatley, of course, because he gets all the videos at the track and helps with the car and everything else we do. Also, Matt Cowart, that also helps with all the car stuff and going to the track and doing video stuff every now and then. I know he doesn't really like to be on camera, so we don't talk to him too much. But my buddy Scott, he's always been real supportive. He's been in a couple videos. Need to get him more involved, so we'll see. I know everybody likes when he's on the channel. And who else? I mean, everybody that's watched and said they enjoy watching the videos. It kind of, all keeps me going to making videos. Sometimes it's a little rough to get motivated, but yeah, that's what kind of keeps me going when somebody reaches out and says, "Hey, man, just keep doing those videos. I love watching them. I don't miss a video." Stuff like that really uplifts the mood.
Heck yeah.
And gets me to make more videos. So.
All right, Aaron. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do, not just for the website, but also for the community. I love watching your videos. I hope that we can get you a bunch more subscribers for this podcast. Maybe people out there just, they're only watching the big names and they don't know about you. You slip through the cracks. So hopefully we can get the word out there.
Yeah, awesome. I definitely appreciate what you're doing for for me, for everybody that you've talked to, it's the podcast is one of my favorites. That's for sure.
Heck yeah, thank you. All right, well, I look forward to seeing you at the shootout here in just a couple weeks, so I can give away this $20,000.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Big shout out for that too. That is going to be a good year. I'm going to have to be on my game to try to get videos out for that for sure.
I can't wait to do it. All right, Aaron. Well, thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
All right, yep. Same to you.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.